Another day dawned and we set about enjoying our life on board. We sailed on in beautiful weather, the temperature around the 80-degree mark. It was absolutely wonderful. On wind power alone, we sailed on across the vast expanse of the ocean. One's first task was to make sure you got a sun lounger. For the crew, it was just another working day. Here, the after binnacle is given a good rub down. Oh, it really is great to see where you've been. Our man obviously decided it was time for a 5-minute break. Now these chaps are making a device. Look at those little bits of cloth behind the one on the right. One of the sails had been flapping against a cable, so an officer and a crew member had to go up and fix one of these things over the cable in order to protect the sail.
They need new ones.
It all looked a bit precarious, and indeed was. They were a long way up and it was windy. They were up there for about an hour, but eventually they got the job done, and then slowly but surely crawled back to safety. Another job was to swing out the inflatable raft to make sure everything worked. For these two, it was another 5-minute break, or longer perhaps. More preparation as the engine was being given a run on this inflatable. Whilst more artistic work was being carried out on the stern of this boat. This boat had 2 combined rudder and propeller units. As long as you were not working, life was great. Another morning had drifted by, and it was time for 8 bells. To be rung, in other words, 12 o'clock noon. Slowly everybody made their way down to the next deck, which was the tropical deck. And today, as it was a lovely day, lunch was being served here in the open. Of course, the first ones to arrive got the pickings, but there was no need to worry, as there was absolutely plenty of food for everybody. The officers had to eat, of course, and joined us. The background music was given by the ship's talented musician. Once you had chosen your favourite food, you just made your way to somewhere to sit, and if you wanted some more, you just got up and collected it. On the right-hand side, the head waiter and purser were there to make sure everything was under control, and even had time to give me a nice little wave. This really was the most idyllic way to spend a lunchtime. And of course, there were plenty of desserts to follow. We sailed on through the beautiful blue waters of the Atlantic. After lunch, it was back to the laborious business of either sunbathing or reading or doing something else. By the look of this empty deck, most people were taking a nap, which was favourite after lunch. As the afternoon wore on, an artist appeared, using the deck as an easel. As the sun went down, most people went forward in order to get a good view of the sunset. The combination of the setting sun and the cloud formations gave this evening's sunset a rather surreal look. And then it faded away. However, in the evening, we did not fade away. Tonight after dinner, it was karaoke night. Tonight, any brave soul could get up and entertain us. This guy was certainly a brave soul, but I'm not sure about the entertainment part of it. This young lady singing an ABBA song was doing a great job and was obviously enjoying herself. As the evening wore on, the entertainment got better and this guy was making a very good job with this song. But the star of the evening was the head barman, who gave a pretty good rendition of Frank Sinatra. He got a well-deserved round of applause. It was good. After breakfast, it was back to the usual routine. The daily mile and smile routine had obviously lost some of their members along the way somewhere. We were now noticing quite a lot of seaweed in the water, a sure sign that land was not all that far away. This morning it was the ship's crew's emergency drill practice, and we sat and watched as everybody, complete with their life jackets, made their way up forward. After being inspected to make sure everyone was there and everyone with their life jacket on correctly, a drill took place involving a crew member wearing protective clothing and breathing apparatus descending down into a hold, presumably to put an imaginary fire out. These two were at their station just after the bridge. The Royal Clipper sailed majestically along, gently rolling to port and then to starboard. Eight bells again. Oh dear, that means lunch. Today lunch was back in the dining room and the whole place was bedecked with flags of just about every European nation. It really did look impressive, and it was a great credit to all the crew who'd worked so hard to make it look so good. Once again, the chef was on station, ready to prepare anything the passengers wanted. For those sitting on either side of the dining room, it was great to look out the porthole, which was virtually at head level, and you could see the sea rushing past. Occasionally one would have the washing machine effect, as the portholes dipped below the surface of the sea. Filming it required patience.
Got it.
Success?
Perfect shot of a washing machine. Hoping for another one. Yep. Wonderful.
Not only was seaweed passing by virtually all the time now, but we were seeing flying fish, which were impossible to photograph, and also the occasional bird. One or two actually landed on board the ship, obviously got lost and were pretty tired and saw us as a place of refuge. They'd be carefully picked up and put in one of these outboard boats until they were recovered, and then off they went. This lady obviously thought there's a piano in the lounge, so why not go and play it? And she did just that. It was not long before she was joined by another musician. We sailed on, and later that afternoon, an engine room visit had been arranged. We made our way down through various staircases and eventually got into a noisy and hot engine room. Here, a couple of Caterpillar diesels thundered away, providing propulsive power when required, and also lighting, heating, and various other electrical supplies. A series of instruments told the engineers exactly what was going on, and here on the main control panel, the engineering officers had complete control over all the machinery. For manoeuvring purposes, the bridge can control the speed of the engines. A dual set of controls is situated on the bridge itself. After an interesting visit, we made our way back on deck. This evening, the skies were completely clear of clouds, and we had the most glorious sunset. Everyone watched spellbound as the sun finally disappeared below the horizon. Then it was off to change for dinner in readiness for some evening entertainment. Tonight was our last night but one on board, and pretty well everybody assembled in the tropical bar, and anybody who wanted to could get up and give a song or play an instrument. The bar staff were kept pretty busy, and no doubt the takings were very high that night. But the highlight of the evening was a little song sung by some Germans who had been practicing secretly for this one glorious moment. It was very pleasant. The next morning it was business as usual for some.
Oh, yes.
More and more seaweed. In other parts of the ship, life went on as usual. The Masochistic Society continued with their activities. But they were going to have to get a move on, as this morning we were having a group photograph taken, and that meant everyone assembling up on the folk ship. We had all been given a Royal Clippers t-shirt And as everyone was expected to wear it, everyone did. After making one's way down from the bridge, it was amongst the ropes and tackle that were all stored on the forecastle deck. Kathleen was there organising everybody into a good group, and soon it was to everyone's satisfaction, including the captain, who came down to be with the group, wearing his cap for the first time. There's Kathy, Gabrielle and John, who were standing there using other people's cameras so that they could all have a photograph of the group with themselves in it on their camera. You can just see me, I'm the one in the blue shirt. We sailed on through beautiful weather across the lovely blue Atlantic Ocean, and after the excitement of the group photo, it was back to the laborious business of enjoying yourself. It was not long before it was time for 8 bells again. And that meant going down to the dining room for yet another lunch. And what a surprise we had today. It was beautifully decorated in a Far Eastern fashion. Absolutely gorgeous decorations. There's the head waiter making sure everything was perfect for us. Another dining room steward laid out a Japanese delicacy, the raw fish known as sushi, and it was delicious. Go on, sir, have another helping. You look as if you could do with it. Once again, the chef was in great demand, and here's making noodles. Even after an Oriental meal, you, of course, had to have some desserts. Today was the last day for most, and the shop was doing a great trade. Tonight was a rather special dinner, and a lot of people were trying to find something just that little bit special to wear, either jewellery or clothing. There was plenty to choose from, especially some wonderful pictures of the ship, and a sail plan describing all 42 of the Royal Clipper's sails. But one couldn't dally too long, it was time to get changed for dinner. As tonight was very special, most of the ladies brought out their lovely dresses they'd brought with them. The menu was absolutely superb. You could not wish for a greater variety of food, all beautifully prepared and cooked to perfection. It was complete with desserts, of course, salads, cheeses, and a great variety of lovely wine. The head waiter and purser were there to make sure everything was perfect. And it was. I had dinner this evening with some American people I'd met on the trip, and of course we all took each other's photographs. Here I am taking a picture of somebody else. Champagne, madam, and for you, sir?
What are we drinking? We're drinking to going to sea.
We're drinking to us. Who else is there? Slangivar, yeah. Of course, if anybody had a birthday, then they got the treatment. And what a night to have a birthday, the captain's dinner. I had to suffer the same on my birthday night. And then suddenly the lights went out and the Baked Alaska Brigade came in. And then Captain Zalek gave us a few words.
Anyhow, it's like I said before, it's time on our ship is flying. It was like yesterday when we were leaving the Canary Islands, and here we are one day before the Barbados. We have some old saying in Poland that is with a good company, the time is flying. So we have really good company here. I hope you enjoyed these few days on the ship. You experienced some nice sailing. We had really nice weather for our beautiful ship, and good sailing time. We have almost 30% under the sails only, so it's nice. And well, I hope see you soon on one of our vessels. You know that we have this two smaller ones, which are going also, they are on the Caribbean right now. And also, as I told you on one of the occasions, we're building the fourth one.
After a wonderful dinner, I went up on deck. This was our last night. We're arriving in Barbados in the morning. The sails and the lights looked absolutely fantastic against the black sky. One could almost say it was a night to remember, but it was fantastic, wonderful. We were due to arrive early in the morning, so I went back to my cabin for the very last time. I wanted to be up early in the morning to watch our arrival. After 3,000 miles of sailing, we sighted land once again. It was just before sunrise, and pretty well everybody was on deck. The automatic pilot was now disengaged, and the ship was being steered, as in the old days, by the big wheel. The captain was now taking us directly towards the harbour. As we moved closer, the inevitable cruise liners were there. The captain, meanwhile, was operating the ship from a set of controls situated on either wing of the bridge. We were going in without a pilot, and this took some seamanship. Enormous cruise liners were moored either side of us, and we were moving slowly between them to reach the opposite end. The enormous, unsightly in the view of some, bulk of the P&O cruise liner Britannia was just on our port side, and the captain was going to manoeuvre around the front of her bows and more alongside. Some of the Britannia's passengers were looking down on us from a great height, probably saying, I wouldn't want to cross the Atlantic in that thing. Up forward, on the forecastle, the crew attend to the mooring ropes, whilst the captain and chief officer just make sure absolutely everything is right. And after a brilliant bit of seamanship, Captain Zalek can relax and look out over Barbados. As the sign says, welcome to Barbados. With her sails furled and her yards standing proudly against the lovely blue sky, the Royal Clipper had completed the Atlantic crossing without any incident whatsoever. It was now time for those who were leaving the ship to have some breakfast, collect their gear, and prepare to disembark. I made my way down the gangway and took a long last look at the Royal Clipper before boarding a coach. This was an ideal way to pass a little bit of time and have some lunch before it was time to fly home. Those beaches look very inviting. Perhaps one could return at a future date. The wonderful cruise on the Royal Clipper had surpassed all my expectations. It really had been a birthday cruise to remember.